mean user will click in and you have written a code that the database entry should be done there. It does it in the real time. You can just see the things magically appear there. And that is very, very awesome for debugging and rolling out an increased level in your application. So this is not about authentication and database here. It does the job really neatly, nicely, and awesomely, but it can do a lot of other things as well, like cloud messaging, app notification, your advertisement program. So there are tons of things that you can see in the feature page there. But again, I would say I love Firebase. And in case you might have some of my boot camps in iOS or maybe React or any other as well, I always like to use Firebase. Another close competition of Facebook is Parse. Now, you might have seen that Parse was really, really growing. In fact, I was one of the close followers of the Parse. Parse really did a very good job, but somehow Facebook decided that we are not going to work on this project, and the team that was working in the Parse, we want to dedicate that team onto some different good things. I don't know what they come up with that good things. I think that was probably just for the purpose. Maybe that team designed kind of a Snapchat look inside the WhatsApp. But again, that was not all about it. Mouse is a very good competition for Firebase, but now things have changed. Now it's not like Facebook has completely closed down the parts; it has actually moved it onto the open source. And now, in order to use the parts, you have to take your own Amazon Web Services, AWS servers there, and host your parts on yourself, and you have to maintain it on your own. Good part about the parts is you get much more control there, but the good part about the Firebase is you don't have to even look out for a database and management. Everything is being given to you. Small scale apps, I think that Firebase takes an upper hand because for the small scale apps, like for hundreds of thousand users, it can manage flawlessly everything. And in case your app is having more than 100,000 users, you probably would have money to pay for all the big. So this was a quick overview about the parts. Now, one more important question before I go off from this video. What you need to learn in order to master the Firebase. Now, you do not need to learn anything. Yep, I'm saying it correct. You do not need to learn anything. If you're working in the Swift, you can use it in the Swift language as well. It has a complete API that works in the Swift. If you're an Android developer, you can use that in the Android. There's a specific guidelines for Android as well. In case you are working with JavaScript-based application, web application, then you can use the entire Firebase in JavaScript as well. So again, you do not need to learn anything. Your existing language will work really great. It has API. You just have to call them, update the database, do authentication, and also stuff there. Okay. So this was all about a quick introduction on the Firebase, and I highly recommend to go inside the training, some of the boot camps that I've done there, and I always use the Firebase. In case you have some other questions as well, I highly recommend to post them in the comment section below, and I'll surely make a video. With this, I would say that if you're enjoying this video here, make sure to give it a thumbs up if you're new here.
So this guy also said many similar things and other stuff as well, like how like he mentioned like Firebase can let me just I just forgot 1 second.
In case you are working with JavaScript-based
Yeah. So he mentioned that you can use Firebase for any platform. Like if you're making a website, it would be in JavaScript. So there is you can call the Firebase APIs in JavaScript language because there will be some library. So or if you're iOS developer, there will be some kind of library for Firebase, which will allow you to call all its functions in Swift itself. And Android, there is a library, and Flutter also, there will be a library which we use to call iOS, the, sorry, not iOS, the Firebase API, and do stuff like authentication, um, messaging, uh, have a database, a real-time database. So what is a real-time database? A database which updates with at the instant in which we make changes. And what if you there is some people may have a doubt like What if internet connection goes off while you're using your app and you want the database to um, but and now you can't communicate with the database because there's no net. So what will happen, it will your app will store the data to be uploaded in the cache, and when once the internet is back on, it will directly upload all the data to the database as soon as possible. So that's what that is some things about the tools in Firebase. So you may also ask, like, why Firebase? The person in the previous video mentioned that there is some another kind of software called Parts built by Facebook, but now they are not working on it, I guess. There is also another kind of software by AWS called AWS Amplify, which is like Firebase. It's basically an extension to their AWS cloud system. Firebase is like an extension of Google Cloud Services. Um, and both have many kinds of tools, which like authentication and databases, um, and etc. Many kinds of tools. Um, Firebase is a complete backend solution for the application. Um, It has many useful tools, including Firestore, which is their real-time database. It has analytics. It will analyze where users are spending time, or what kind of users you are getting, on many other things, where uh, there is like crash analytics, where your app may crash or is crashing the most. There is also a testing part. It also has the best documentation, which makes it more appealing for developers. So the guy said in the previous video that he loves using Firebase, and he has some courses in which he is using Firebase only. So any newcomer, he doesn't need to learn any other type of language, and he can use this backend solution, Firebase, um, w- for free in the beginning, and once it scales to a certain point, it will cost um, some amount, and that amount will scale linearly number depending upon the number of users or something. Okay, or the traffic it has. So another video, uh, I have here another video explaining what makes Firebase so special. It would be a little bit similar, so but still it's better to get an idea of what all people, uh, the perspective of other people.
What makes Firebase so special? Why do so many people use it? Why so much of it? Well, take a look at the database store. This is where the main difference is between Firebase and the traditional tech stack. So your traditional tech stack usually has a user interface which communicates with what's called a route. So an example might be, let's say you want to make a user, then the user interface will submitting the form to create the new user that passes the information to the route panel. And then the route will actually route that information to the database, such as an MySQL database or something like that. So what that means is for every piece of functionality which needs to write something in the database, you need to write a paper, some SQL code or something like that in order to actually read from the database or write to it. So what ends up happening is you have this huge router full of, it's basically just the same code of since you run, it's always the same. Wait, this will pass in the data to the database. Okay, okay, let's write a handle field. So every time you need to communicate with the backend, you always need to write a route.
Okay, but this is different with Firebase. So Firebase has a flagship database called Store. Store is essentially a generic runtime code. The place where Flutter writes and runs big long nodes of just the same code. Store is the ultimate generic handler and database rolled into one. Yes, they still have those components under the hood, but to use the service as if it was all just one piece. So let's say we were making a to-do list and something to our to-do list. Instead of writing a one something to the to-do list, all it would be saying, okay, Firebase, write to the slash items collection. Add this new item function. That's it. It's a single call to the Firestore database, and the Firestore handles that route. The user interface only has to make a single call to Firestore in order to write something to the database. So that is the key value proposition of Firebase in my mind. Firestore rolls out the route within the database all into one, and it's a nicely organized NoSQL database. But at this point, you might be wondering, what's the difference then between Firestore, which is a NoSQL database, and another NoSQL database such as Mongo? That's what it is. You're going to be the best SaaS business out there as long as you're using Mongo to be. Well, it had a lot of great features. Like there was no SQL. It was very easy to write to and read from. But it doesn't scale quite as much as was. And the main reason for this is because instead of structuring everything as a single JSON object, like it does, what Firestore does is it treats everything as collections and documents. To get a document, you do not have to get all the data under collections and documents under that. So that's the main difference. If you want a little bit more info, description, check out Firestore versus MongoDB. Right, so we've covered Firestore. That's the main reason that MongoDB is so valuable. Next reason why Firebase is so valuable is because it smashes the like button. It might smash the like button for YouTube algorithm. Suppose one of these videos. Really, the next thing I want to mention is pretty much this huge list of features which Firebase has inside that dashboard. So in addition to the database, which is Firestore, they also have authentication, storage, hosting, functions, machine learning. They've got some really simple analytics tools for measuring the success of particular features that you launch and general tracking. So you can understand them. They've got tools for facilitating remote apps like distribution before stores and test search before you go through answers and want to list them in the store which helps you understand functions and so forth. And they've got a whole bunch of other features like A/B testing, cloud messaging, in-app messaging, and so forth. And I was really happy when I used this last one, extensions, because extensions is basically a pre-built solutions to things like, let's say, every time a user signs up, sort of MailChimp, that one extension. So there's tons of power in this platform. This is not really just a database. It's really a suite of tools to help you build some websites using much less code and much less time than it would take you. So that's really what makes Firebase so special. It's mainly the database Firebase, revolutionary. Use their tools. And so that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember to subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. So thanks for watching.
So basically, what he mentioned is that there is this database called Firestore in Firebase that I was talking about. And what usually happens with your original backend tech stack was one has to code something called a route handler, which does operations on the database, like writing to the database, reading from the database. But what Firestore has done is it's basically combined the whole route handler thing, and now there there is basically some simple functions doing the writing, reading, and other stuff. So that's the difference. It's much more simplified. Other thing, if you want to scale your database, oh, there's some message. Let me Okay, so there was a WhatsApp message. Sorry. So if you want to scale your database, Firestore is basically part of the Google Cloud system. So you would be storing your data on their servers, and it's pretty easy to scale. You just need to change your Google Cloud plan. Uh, you initially have a free plan, and later you can pay according to how much you need. So that's some, and when you're at that level, you probably will be earning some kind of money from your app. So it's really convenient for you as well as Google. Uh, both of both of the developer and the company Google will benefit um, by you by more number of users using your app and generating like uh, watching more ads and stuff. So um, yeah, I guess for now, he also mentioned that there are so many other things like there was ML, crash testing, or analytics, other stuff. These are all tools present in Firebase, like authentication I mentioned. Um, there are some models for machine learning. There are present by default, or you can add your own TensorFlow models uh, in the back end if you need it. So it has to be in TensorFlow. Um, there are many more things.
What makes Fire?
Okay, so so let's see the Cloud Firestore. Firestore is the database. So so basically we we looked at an overall view of Firebase. Now let's just focus on I'll just show you the videos by Firebase for these individual tools, the main tools only, like Firestore. So you understand uh, what this should be more correct, and because it's by Firebase itself, the Firebase YouTube channel, and it should give you a better overview of what Firestore is.
No matter what kind of app you're developing these days, there's a chance.
I should mute myself.
No matter what kind of app you're developing these days, there's a good chance you'll want to store your data in the cloud. Maybe that's because your users want to share their data with their friends for some exciting in-app collaboration, or maybe it's just because they'll want to access their data from more than one device. But storing data in the cloud isn't quite as easy as it once was. You have to set up your own servers to host the data and keep them up and running day and night. You got to spend a lot of time with the client dealing with networking issues, including making sure everything still works when your user goes online. You need to stay up all night wondering if you've gotten your security exactly right. And spoiler alert, you probably have. And then you need to make sure your service can scale no matter how many millions of users you might have, all of which is time you'll get to spend on building your app. This is where Cloud Firestore comes in. Cloud Firestore lets you store your data in the cloud so you can sync it across all your devices or share them among multiple users. And it comes with all the conveniences you'd expect from a Firebase product, like robust client libraries. Those support for offline mode, so your app will continue to work just fine whether you're connected or not, even on the web. A comprehensive set of security rules to help you manage access and sleep at night, and an easy-to-use data browsing tool. It also lets you structure your data in ways that make sense to you, thanks to its powerful querying and fetching capabilities. Cloud Firestore works in near real time, automatically fetching changes from the database as they happen, or you can request and fetch data manually. Cloud Firestore brings you the best of Google Cloud Platform's powerful
database infrastructure. Features like multi-regional data replication for fixed consistency to make sure everybody's on the same page, and multi-document transactions so you can perform complex operations on data. And we've designed it to handle the toughest workloads from the world's most popular apps, so it can scale automatically to support yours. But it still integrates with other Firebase products, including Firebase Authentication, sign-in, and Cloud Functions, which lets you run all sorts of server-side logic in response to changes in your database, all of which means you get control of service. And that means you can spend less time with infrastructure issues and more time with your app. So if you have Cloud Firestore, try today. You can find all the documentation here, try a sample or two, and start building something great.
Yeah, so basically that was the main product of Firebase is the Cloud Firestore database. So that's why everyone was mentioning it so much. It's really convenient and it removes all the like places where there can be issues like security, like hacking, there can be some issues, or authentication. If it's not secure, then people's details will be leaked, accounts will be leaked. Then scaling problem. How will you scale if you have hardware servers running? Um, it will be really costly as well. So all these things, it's just mentioning from a developer point of view, what benefits will Firestore give you? It will basically save your time so that you can build your own app first and complete it. So Firebase also, yeah. So someone unmuted.
I wanted to say something that how it is related to the thing we have done previously regarding that we have made the app. So
Yeah,
how
yeah,
I
yeah. I will tell you. It is independent of Flutter. Firebase is basically another product by Google. So Flutter Festival, so in Flutter Festival, we were not only told to explain Flutter, but we were also asked to explain Firebase, which is another product which handles the backend. So if you're developing an app, say in Flutter, it would have some kind of database. If it may need a database. We never used a database in a previous application. It may need some kind of authentication, or it may have some ads so that you can earn money, right? You have seen some kind of apps like this. So Firebase will help just get all those things in your apps. And it's not only for Flutter, it is for all kinds of apps, web apps, desktop apps, iOS apps, Android apps, any kind of thing. So it's a completely different kind of software.
okay, that is understandable that we require some adding of material so that that fire is fire so is great. But we have yesterday we have taken like we have taken the temperature of weather of Goa with the Goa ID and from the website directly into so that will also require that fire.
No, 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 no. That was basically an API call. That we never use Firebase. We basically used the Open Weather Map API service, and we were accessing it using the HTTP library. We basically put a GET request using the HTTP library, and we put the URL that we had to just get the data from from their software via the Open Weather Map API. Firebase is also an API. It's basically an API connecting their cloud services and other kinds of services to your application. It is, we didn't, to keep it short, we have not yet used any Firebase tools yet. And we, yeah. So if you have any,
So it will make something from the Firebase or Fire Storage and directly provide it to the customer like
yeah,
that API will work.
yeah, there will be a Firebase library which is communicating with their API, and that API will help us do all this Firestore, authentication, advertisement, etc. It is a different API. It is not the API we used last time. So let's just continue with another product called Firebase ML. Most of, let's just go over this another product called Firebase ML, in which apps these days have are more smarter and adaptive because of machine learning being implemented in them. So you can implement machine learning models in your apps via Firebase ML. So I'll just play this video quickly.
In today's fast-moving world, consumers have come to expect mobile apps to not only be intuitive, but also be able to provide powerful features and adapt to new information. That's why machine learning has become critical for mobile development. Developers are increasingly relying on machine learning to enhance their app's user experience, and only fine-tuned machine learning models can deliver those powerful features to delight their users. But what if you don't have machine learning experience? How do you get started? Or what if you have an ML model, but you don't want to deal with hosting and serving it to a mobile device? Introducing Firebase Machine Learning, a set of tools and services for bringing powerful machine learning features to your app, whether it's for Android or iOS, whether you're an experienced ML developer or you're just getting started. Firebase ML comes with a set of cloud-enabled APIs focused on common mobile use cases like recognizing text, recognizing landmarks, and labeling images. You simply upload your data to the cloud, and it gives you back all sorts of awesome information. Firebase ML uses the power of Google Cloud Platform's ML technology to provide a high level of accuracy. If Firebase ML doesn't have an API that covers your use case, don't worry, we're always looking to add more. Of course, you can always bring your own TensorFlow library, upload it to the Firebase console, and we'll take care of hosting it and serving it to your app's users. If you don't know how to build your own machine learning model, we have you covered there too. With AutoML Vision Edge, we can build a custom machine learning model for you on any set of images you provide. Firebase ML acts as an API layer to your custom model, making it easy to run and use. And if you're just looking for ML-powered solutions that fully run on your user's device, MLKit SDK is available as well. Bring Google's ML expertise to your app. Machine learning is at your fingertips. We can't wait to see what you'll build with Firebase ML.
Now that was Firebase ML. Now there is also Firebase authentication. So like whenever you do sign up, you get options for sign up via Gmail, sign up via Facebook, sign up via GitHub, sign up via Twitter, uh, and a normal sign up as well. So all those authentication, the whole software, the whole program, so is really difficult to build from scratch, and to look after the security issues and the latest vulnerabilities in will be like more of a bigger challenge and a larger issue for most people, and it would consume a lot of time if there is some major vulnerability um, in authentication. Like there was log4j recently, uh, which was a one vulnerability in the Java library for authentication. So it was most companies, when it was detected, it was given the highest danger risk or something. Uh, I'm not sure what it's called, but the highest priority was to um, avoid that by updating the log4j library to latest version, which remove the vulnerability. And there's what Google does is it will provide you an API for authentication. In which you don't need to code your own program for authentication, and you can rely on Google. And Google is a company with thousands of developers constantly working on their products and constantly updating them. So it's much more reliable for a small developer like a student like us, or even a small software company, or um, who can't build their own systems. Okay, and people also want different options for authentication, like via Twitter, GitHub, Facebook. So it also provides service for that as well. Uh, it provides to Yeah. Let me just play this video so that you get an idea.
Firebase makes authentication easy for end users and developers. Most applications need to know the identity of the user so they can provide a customized experience and keep their data secure. Firebase supports lots of different ways for your users to authenticate. If your users want to authenticate with their email address, you can build that for them. Firebase offers built-in functionality for third-party providers such as Facebook, Twitter, GitHub, and Google. It can also integrate with your existing account system if you have one. You're given the choice about how to present login to a user. You can build your own interface, or you can take advantage of our open source UI, which is fully customizable and incorporates years of Google's experience in building simple signing ways. No matter which one you use, once a user authenticates, three things happen. Information about the user is returned to the device via callbacks. This allows you to personalize your app's user experience for that specific user. The user information contains a unique ID which is guaranteed to be distinct across all providers, never changing for specific authentication. This unique ID is used to identify your user and what parts of your backend system they're authorized to access. Firebase will also manage your user's session so that users will remain logged in after the browser or application restarts. And of course, it works on Android, iOS, and the web. That's Firebase Auth, allowing you to focus on your users and not the signing infrastructure to support.
So another thing many apps these days have is some messaging service. So apps today, like social media apps, are on all kinds of platforms, right? iOS, Android, even on your website, even on a website, right? And if you want to message from one platform to another, you need some kind of backend API or something, an API connecting to your backend database, which so cloud messaging basically. So Firebase has features for that as well. So let me just play this video and it will explain you.
Firebase makes sending messages to your users easy with Firebase Cloud Messaging. It's a free service that allows you to send messages to your users' apps across a variety of platforms. Messages can be addressed to single devices, groups of devices, or even topics. Building a notifications and messaging system with Firebase Cloud Messaging is easy. First, you register your user's app instance with the Firebase Cloud Messaging service. Then, in your server, you write code that allows you to address these devices by ID group or topic, and which tells the Firebase Cloud Messaging server to send the messages for you. It's powerful, it's scalable, delivering hundreds of billions of messages per day, with 95% of messages being delivered within 250 milliseconds to connected devices across many different platforms. That easy, it's that powerful. Firebase Cloud Messaging.
Yeah, so messages and also notifications. And if you want to notify all your users, you can do so. And inter-user conversation, like normal messaging, is also included. So there are many more tools, like I mentioned it here. We just went over some of the main ones. So that is, I think this is it for all the videos introducing Firebase and going over the tools. Now, so we looked at what is Firebase and what feature it has. Now it's time to see how do we implement slash link our Firebase project with our Flutter project so that we can use its features. So we need to connect our Flutter project with our Firebase project. And what do I mean by Firebase project? Is basically you have to go on the Firebase website and register via our Gmail account, via your Gmail, or you can register normally, I guess. No, I think it's Gmail only. After registering, you have to go to Firebase console where you can set up your new Firebase project. Uh, Once you complete the setup process, um, okay, I think I have, yep. So once you've completed the setup process, you will probably get something called a JSON file, which you have to integrate in your Flutter app in a particular section, in a particular folder. And I have this video which explains how to connect your Firebase project with your Flutter project. So this is a 9-10 minute video. This is the last video for today. After which I would probably do demonstrate it myself. But if you have but this video is for you guys to refer later as well. I'll share the slides.
Friends, so the aim of the game here is to link up a Firebase backend to our Flutter app, because Firebase is going to help us take care of things like authentication and storing data in a database on the backend. And so we need to link up our Flutter application that we're creating to this Firebase backend. So we're going to go through that process in this video. Now, the first thing we need to do is go to firebase.google.com and then create 3 accounts. Once you've done that, click on Go to Console, and this is going to list your current projects. I've only got 2, but this is the first time you've created an account in it. You want to create a new project, like an add project, and the first thing we need to do is give our project a name. Now, just a word of warning, Firebase does like to change the design of its website. It seems, in my case, but it doesn't mean that the service has changed. It just means that it's changing the UI. So you might see something different, but the process is going to be very similar. But anyway, we need to give this project a name. I'm going to call this manager, and then continue. And then down here, you can uncheck that because we don't really need analytics, and then create project. This is just going to take a minute or so to create this project for us. And so once that's done, click on continue, and you're going to see this kind of like a control for Firebase container or Firebase project. So we have all of the links on the left to set up different features of our Firebase backend, like authentication of the database, of storage, etc. And we also have these options right here to set up a new app for this backend. So we do want to do that. We want to set up a new Android app for our backend. So let's click on this Android icon right here, and we need to give this first of all a package name. Now, Studio to create a new Flutter application in the past, then when we create that, specify the package name at the start. It's going to be that value. When in VS Code, we didn't do that. It automatically creates this value for us, but we can't find it. It's inside the Android folder, then go into app, and then open build.gradle, and you'll see if you scroll down this thing right here, application ID. Just zoom in a little bit so you can see this. This thing right here, this is the application ID value. So at the minute, you can see that this is com.netninja.grid. But have actually entered that into manually. Now, for me, it should be something like code.example dot whatever you call your app. So just change the example bit to your name or your website or something like that. It just has to be unique. What I'm going to do is copy this value right here, and then I'm going to paste it into this field, and that is going to be our package name. Now we have to give this a nickname. Well, it's optional, but I'm going to give it a name, like so. Oops. There we go. And then this bit right here, we don't need to fill in because we're not going to use sign in or phone number support. So we can just register the app like so. And then the next step is to download this Google Services.json file. This is a file we're going to place in our project in this folder structure, so that when our project starts in the emulator or on the phone, then this Google Services.json file is going to tell that project what backend to connect to on Firebase. It's going to act as like an identifier, so it knows to connect to our backend right here. So make sure you download that, and then it should only take a second to download. When it does, just grab it and stick over here inside the project. Now we paste it inside this app folder right here, so just grab it and scoot over to this app folder inside the Android folder right there. Okay, so that's the first step taken care of. Now let's carry on, go to next. And now we need to add a couple of snippets to some different files in our project as well. Now at this point, I want you to make sure that you use exactly the same version numbers as me. Because since we're Firebase in Flutter app, there are certain things that can go wrong with different versions of different things. But if you use all the same versions of everything that I use, then hopefully that's going to minimize that risk. So first of all, we want to place this thing right here, this particular class path, inside our build.gradle file in the project group. So let me copy this and go to our project. Now we have a build.gradle file right here, it's not in the project group. So let's just get rid of this app thing right here. And you want to go down to this build.gradle thing right here. This is the one we want to add to. So inside dependencies, just paste this in. Now I'm going to change this to 4.0.1. That is the version that we're going to go with in this series. Now, there could be slight problems if you use a different version, because sometimes, like I say, when we set up Firebase with Flutter, different things can conflict. So if you want to make sure there's no problems, make sure your version is the same as mine, 4.0.1. Okay, so let's move on. The next thing we need to do is grab this thing right here, this plugin. So copy that, and we need to add that at the bottom of this file inside the project, then add, then build.gradle. So this time around, we want to go into the app folder, then build.gradle, we want to come to the bottom, we want to paste that in right at the bottom right here. So this time, this build.gradle and not the other one. So make sure you get those the right way around. I'm going to save this, and in fact, I'm just going to scroll up. I'm going to change the minimum SDK version as well to 21. So we're not going as far back into the past with our support. So make sure you do that as well. This dates back to around about 2014, I think, version 21. So it does go back a fair few years. So now if you save that, I want to open up my main.dart file. If I can find it in all of this place now. So open that up. Then I'm going to click F5 to run this, like so. And then when it's ready, you'll open up inside this emulator. So at the minute, we just want to make sure that everything is still working, and that's a good sign. If you get some errors, it means you're probably doing something wrong at some point. But hopefully, fingers crossed, this should work with no errors. Okay, and the app works. Woohoo! So that means that we've kind of set everything up correctly. And if you just open your console, you go to the full console, as long as there's nothing red in here, then you should be fine to carry on. So we're kind of halfway there now. We've now fixed our Flutter application with Firebase as a backend. So now we're free to start communicating with that backend. In order to do that correctly, we now install a couple of Flutter packages so that we can interact with the Firebase backend appropriately in a Flutter application. is this thing right here.
I'll just pause right here. So I would, so there is some issue from my side. I'll just post it on WhatsApp. Um, Now I'm getting this error whenever I'm trying to launch Android Studio. I'm getting an error, so it's not allowing me to do so. So I won't be able to actually physically share my screen and show you how to connect the Firebase app with my Flutter app today. I'll try to fix the error tomorrow. I'll share these slides, huh? And you guys just need to follow this last video. Um, just try to follow this last video to make a Firebase project from the Firebase website. Um, the link is given in the slides itself. And then create a new Flutter project and just try to link it by following this video. And by then, hopefully I have solved this Android Studio opening issue. The app is not opening for me. And I would be able to solve any kind of doubts you may have, like if there is any error, and you can message me. I This is the end for today's session because there is an issue from my side. There won't be any live demonstration, but I was basically going to do what is mentioned in this last video. So you can follow this last video, see if you get any errors, and we will in the last session, the fifth session, we would do the same process basically to build a app which uses Firebase. So yeah, that is it for today. Sorry for the issues.